Langley, BC is one of the most talked about places to live in Metro Vancouver right now, but is it actually the right place for you? There's no denying that more and more people are moving here, but that doesn't mean that it's perfect for everyone. Let's be real. If you're expecting a seamless, stress-free lifestyle with everything at your fingertips, Langley might not be what you think it is. Sure, it offers more space and affordability compared to Vancouver, but with that comes traffic, construction, and a car-dependent lifestyle that not everybody loves. If you don't take the time to understand what living in Langley is really like, you could end up moving here and end up regretting it. Whether it's the growing pains from rapid development, the lack of transit options, or the rainy weather, there's things that you absolutely need to consider before making your decision. So let's break it all down and find out if Langley is truly the right fit for you. First off, let's talk about affordability. Compared to Vancouver, Langley offers a much more reasonable cost of living, especially when it comes to housing. And don't get me wrong, Langley is by no means cheap and prices have substantially climbed over the last 10 years. However, you definitely get a lot more bang for your buck here. Whether you're in the market for a single family home, a townhouse, a condo, a mobile home, or maybe even an acreage, you're going to find a variety of options here that won't completely break the bank, or at least not compared to Vancouver. Keep in mind that the greater Vancouver area is one of the most expensive markets in Canada outside of the GTA, so please take this with a grain of salt. Renting's also a bit more manageable, but those prices have also gone up over the last few years. If you're a first-time buyer, a growing family, or even a retiree looking to downsize, Langley gives you more space for your money. One of the biggest draws to Langley is its strong community vibe. The place is packed with parks, schools, and recreational facilities, making it a great spot for families. Schools here are highly rated, and there's tons of sports leagues and outdoor activities for kids as well as adults. You got everything from the Willowbrook Shopping Center to big box stores and plenty of locally owned businesses as well. And if you love fresh food, you'll appreciate the local farmers markets that showcase everything from fresh produce to homemade goods. If you're an outdoorsy person, Langley won't disappoint. There's tons of parks, trails, and nature spots to explore all over the city or just a short drive away. Whether it's hiking at Campbell Valley Regional Park, biking along the Fort to Fort Trail, or just taking in the scenery at Derby Reach, there's no shortage of options. Plus, the Fraser Valley is right next door, so you're never too far from wineries, farms, and beautiful rural landscape. If you're horseback riding or fishing, Langley's got you covered. Now let's get into some of the challenges. One of the biggest downsides of living in Langley is transportation. Unlike Vancouver, where transit is a really solid option and it's very easy to not only walk to most places dependent on where you live, as well as them having the SkyTrain, Langley doesn't quite have the same accessibility. In reality, Langley's a pretty car-dependent city. While there are bus routes that connect you to SkyTrain stations in Surrey, commuting to Vancouver can definitely be a bit more of a headache, and especially during rush hour. If you live here, you probably rely on your car, which means factoring in gas prices, insurance costs, and dealing with traffic. And let's be real. Now, that's not to say you can't get by without having a car, but it's definitely not something I would suggest trying doing, at least at this point in time. Because as you may or may not know, in the near future, we are getting a SkyTrain extension that is going to connect Langley all the way to downtown Vancouver. However, that's not expected to be complete until around the end of 2029, but it is underway. One positive note that I do want to mention in regards to this, though, is that in Langley, the streets are wider than places like Vancouver, which is quite nice, and parking is pretty much free everywhere you go, and you're always going to be able to find a spot, which is something I absolutely hate about going to downtown Vancouver. Now, another downside is the rapid growth that Langley is currently experiencing. On one hand, it's great because it means new amenities, more job opportunities, but on the other hand, it also means more construction, busier roads, and rising home prices. Areas like Willoughby have exploded with development, which has made certain areas feel overcrowded and giving the city infrastructure struggles. And this is definitely apparent when you're traveling on streets across Langley, such as 200th and 208th, where the majority of traffic that is either trying to get to the highway or back to the other side of Langley has to take. So while growth is exciting, it's definitely something that you need to be made aware of if you are considering moving here. However, pretty much all the major cities in Metro Vancouver and realistically across Canada are having the same sorts of problems. So it's kind of difficult to completely escape it, unless you're going to a small rural town, but then you're losing all of the other benefits. Another factor that you're going to want to keep in mind is the weather. If you love the rain, you're going to be just fine. But if you prefer a drier climate, the fall and winter time in Langley is something you're probably not going to be a fan of. It rains a lot, and especially during these fall and winter months. And for some people, that can be a deal breaker. With that said, summers here are generally mild and very enjoyable, so if you can handle a few gray months, it's really not that bad. And in terms of winters, they're generally pretty short and we don't get a ton of snow here. We may get snow for a couple days here and there, or maybe even a week, but overall it's not like we're consistently covered in snow. And as far as temperature goes, yeah, we might be sitting just above zero or just below zero for a short period of time, but we're not having these crazy cold winters like you might get in places like Alberta. And touching back on the rain, we do live in the lower mainland, or as many people like to refer to it, Raincouver, so it's not like you're going to get away from it by just going a city or two over. So realistically, you have to look at the trade-offs in terms of, would you prefer it to be a little bit drier but get a ton more snow and be a lot colder? Or are you okay with having a bit more rain, but having a lot more mild temperatures overall and a lot more mild weather? Now, if you're someone who's looking for an active nightlife scene and going out on a weekly basis, Langley might feel a little bit quiet to you. Don't get me wrong, there's great restaurants, breweries, entertainments, a casino, but if you're looking for big concerts, nightclubs, or a buzzing nightlife scene, you're probably gonna have to find yourself heading to Vancouver most often. However, with that said, Langley does have a growing craft beer scene with some cool local events and a more laid-back social scene that a lot of people like myself tend to love. It also has a good number of wineries, just less than the 𝐁𝐴 𝐿. It's not quite the same scene, but in South Langley, you do have some pretty great spots if you are a wino. And in the past couple of years, they've actually continued to add a lot of incredible restaurants and bars that I really didn't see coming here. But because of this, it has been attracting more and more people. Now, when it comes to jobs, Langley's employment market is steadily growing, and especially in industries like retail, healthcare, and trades. However, a lot of residents still commute to nearby cities like Surrey, Burnaby, or Vancouver for work. But with the rise of remote work, it's made Langley an even more appealing option for people who don't need to be in an office every single day. Plus, small businesses and entrepreneurial ventures are thriving, with more people working from home or starting their own local businesses. Education is another strong point for Langley. There's a good mix of public and private schools, which is a huge plus for families. And if you're looking for post-secondary education, Trinity Western University is right here in Langley, attracting students from all over Canada. And you've also got a campus for the Kwantlen Polytechnic University as well. There's plenty of vocational and specialized training options available at these schools, so I suggest you head over to their websites to check out what those are. So at the end of the day, what's the bottom line? Langley's an amazing place if you're looking for affordability compared to Vancouver, a family-friendly atmosphere, and plenty of outdoor space. But it doesn't come without its challenges. Traffic, rapid development, and a lack of extensive transit options can definitely be frustrating. And the rainy weather might not be for everyone. At the end of the day, whether Langley is right for you depends on what you're looking for in a home and a community. And if after watching this video, you are still considering making a move to Langley, but you'd like to further this conversation and dig a little bit deeper into what may be a good fit for you and what might not be, I am a local realtor right here in Langley. So if you do want to chat, you can scroll down and click the first link in the description to book a call with me at a time that works best for you. Additionally, you're definitely going to want to download my Ultimate Langley Relocation Guide, where I cover all of my favorite neighborhoods. Lastly, make sure you check out another video on my channel before you get out of here as I cover all things Langley. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.